Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So we're going to be talking about one city in this video and its ability to impact the 2028 election and possibly put the Democrats out of power at the presidential level until the 2040s, mainly because you're going to get a new electoral map. Red states are going to get 11 electoral votes. Still, regardless, if Republicans are going to be going out there winning the states that are going to go red most times anyways, barring something crazy, and then build on that, capitalize on that, it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to lose in the next few election cycles, regardless of whoever the Republican or Democrat candidate's going to be. We understand the 2028 election is going to come down to a few states. Very polarized country that we have. And on the map already, I've filled out the states that are basically going to go in one way for the Republicans or the Democrats, given trends in Nevada, given the way it's moving. You know, maybe a lean designation would be a little bit more cautious. Trump still won the state by about 4 points. It's shown no signs of slowing down. Arizona, same thing if you look at voter registration data. And typically the party out of power gains when you have a president that is in office and the voter registration data. But instead, we have seen the opposite in many places, including in Pennsylvania. And its number one city is none other than Philadelphia. And it's not just the city itself that is turning a massive corner, but it is also the area. And there's many reasons to believe that just a modest increase on top of the modest increase that the Republicans have put up in Philadelphia could possibly put the Democrats out of power for an entire generation. So we'll be diving into that. But really quickly, guys, I have to tell you guys about my website. Not a lot of people know about it. We haven't talked about it in a while. redeaglepolitics.com. For $5 a month or 16 cents a day, you get to sign up. You get all of my exclusive videos and articles in the newsletter. We release videos. We try to get them out every week. Same thing with the newsletters. And also you get access to the Discord server where you can join the community, chat with like-minded individuals. You guys can check it out, and it helps support the channel. I don't have a Patreon or anything. We just have the website, redeaglepolitics.com. The link will be in the description and pinned comment down below. So here we go with the electoral map, because it does seem like North Carolina is going to remain a lean Republican state, if not tilt on a bad year. Not saying Democrats can't win it if everything goes right, but the registration data and polarization, it's just looking too good. Western North Carolina, because of Asheville, is helping Democrats. Charlotte and the Research Triangle, a little bit stagnant so far. And then you have Eastern North Carolina, which is zooming to the right. A lot of retirees moving down. It's kind of like a Florida effect that you're seeing in certain parts of Eastern North Carolina. Of course, you have certain things like the Lumbee tribe in Robeson County and, certain Native American groups that have previously voted Democrat but are now voting Republican, in part because, Trump's recognizing them or whatever. But, it's just the entire shift that we're seeing. A lot of it is retirees, etc., in Eastern North Carolina. So you do have kind of a state that is moving in two different directions. I expect it to stay red, even if Republicans fall in the Senate race to Roy Cooper. I still think they're favored, although it's going to be close. That leaves Pennsylvania. And if Republicans win the state of Pennsylvania, they don't need to win anything else. They can lose Georgia, they can lose New Mexico, New Jersey, New Hampshire, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Michigan and Wisconsin still, if Pennsylvania is going to be red, Michigan more so than Wisconsin has a decent shot of joining Pennsylvania, but still the states are different, and Pennsylvania is still bigger than Michigan and has much more of an impact than Michigan does because it has 4 more electoral votes. So if you get Pennsylvania, that is huge. And when you want to look at the voter registration data out of Pennsylvania, in 2008, Democrats had a lead of 1.2 million votes. Then it shrunk to 1.1 million, 916,000 in 2016 when Trump won the state. 2020, it dwindled a bit. A lot of that was people that were ancestrally Democrat changing their registration, got below 700K. And then you saw a big shift of like 400,000 to the right before 2024. And the state shifted to the right by around 200,000 votes as well, a little bit more than that, I believe, or about that number. And then 2025, now that number's been cut by another 100,000 in 1 year, and the active voter registration is down to 58,530. So brutal for the Democrats, but a lot of this is coming from the Philadelphia area. You hear a lot about the suburbs moving left from the Democrats, or you heard a lot about it, but then you actually look at the data and it points a little bit of a different story. And 2024 kind of showed us that you had this phenomenon going on called like the donut effect, as some people may put it, where a lot of the inner ring suburbs, which it's not really all showed on this map, but they, move to the left, or overall they're trending, shifting to the left, but the inner city and the urban areas are moving to the right. The exurbs, the outer suburbs with more working class people, they're moving to the right, and the rurals are still moving to the right. So no matter how you want to look at it, a lot of these shifts were to the right because you had the working class white voters in places like Chester County, Delco, Bucks move to the right more than any, shift to the left from college-educated white liberals that we saw. So overall, a big shift in all these places. A lot of it is group trends. I mean, especially in places like Lehigh County and Berks County, you have a lot of Puerto Rican voters, Dominican voters in terms of the Hispanic population there. Same thing with Philadelphia itself. But in the suburbs, you have a lot of Italians, you have a lot of Poles. There's a notable Jewish population in Bucks County that did move to the right. Just overall, it's mainly a lot of these like white working class, ethnic, Catholic voters in Pennsylvania. Democrats were having unsustainable margins with them. Obviously, Biden had a connection to those communities. He would always say, I grew up in the Polish community. I grew up in the Italian community. It's all BS. And we see it now, but that era is gone. This is a Democrat Party that probably at this stage is too woke to nominate somebody like a 2020 Biden anyways. And it took everything to go right for him to barely be able to get across the finish line a few days after in Pennsylvania. But regardless, the main takeaway here is you have an issue for Democrats in Philadelphia. And you could say, well, they won Philadelphia by 424,260 votes. That's a lot of votes. Here's the deal, though. That's not all that impressive, especially because Republicans are energized and finding voters in these other counties, and they're doing a good job. Because when you want to look at the track record of Philadelphia County, same thing. 2012, Obama got 589,000 votes. Mitt Romney couldn't even crack 100,000. That was abysmal for him, but that's a massive, margin of almost 500,000 votes that's been cut now to 400,000. Of course, Trump is doing a lot better in the rural areas compared to Romney as well. But in the city, 2016, Hillary Clinton, she actually almost matched Obama's margin. It wasn't bad in terms of turnout. Turnout overall was higher. Obviously, the third party share was higher, but Trump also added about, I guess you would say 12,300 or so voters over Romney. Clinton didn't do as well as Obama. Trump's win was mainly because of many other parts of the state, and then he ate into the margin again. Biden got 604,000 votes in the county. Trump, however, got 133,000. Then he got 144,000, and Harris lost a lot of support. We're talking about almost 40,000 voters. And if you compare it to 2016 even, she lost a net 18,000 voters. Trump added a net 36,000 voters or so. So a massive shift overall. You're talking about a shift of almost 100,000 voters compared to 2012, but compared to 2016, even if you add it up, that's still like 60,000 voters, and Trump won the state in 2016. And there's really no signs of this slowing down or stopping. Trump getting 20% in Philadelphia, and this could change as you have a lot of New Yorkers that are not really happy with New York, and are moving to Pennsylvania. Maybe not Philadelphia itself, but if Zoran Mamadi or whatever his name is becomes mayor, I think a lot of people understand that there's going to be a lot of people fleeing to nearby New Jersey, which could make it flip, nearby Pennsylvania, although it's mainly going to be, I think, northeastern Pennsylvania, but somewhere in the state that'll make it worse for Democrats in the state. And then you have the problem in the city of Philadelphia. Because let's say Trump gets, or not Trump, but we're talking about the Republican Party, the direction that it's going in is the Trump wing. Let's say in the future, the Democrats continue to lose support. They plummet. They're only turning out like 500,000, and Republicans are turning out almost 200,000 voters of their own, especially the way that a lot of older voters are passing away. Younger voters are entering the fold in Philadelphia, and they are registering at significantly higher rates for the Republicans. You're talking about the Democrats going from advantages of like 500,000 voters in Philadelphia to overnight, it's going to be closer to 300,000 voters some point next decade. And that's 200,000 voters in the same time frame where Republicans are already being competitive in Pennsylvania. And you talk about the state, Trump won the state, even in its current form, by 120,000 votes. If you want to add another net 100,000, and that possibly could happen in the Philadelphia area, like, yes, it's true, some of these suburbs might move a little bit to the left, and then some of these exurbs might continue to move to the right. But regardless, let's just assume it's like a net zero in the rest of the state. The Republicans in the future, they're going to be able to have a baseline to work with in Pennsylvania of somewhere around, like, on an average year, they'd be winning the state by 200,000 votes, which is really tough. I mean, you want to look at a state like North Carolina, which is a little bit smaller. This is probably like your average year in North Carolina, where you see Donald Trump or any Republican winning the state by almost 200,000 votes. Pennsylvania being a state like that, which goes Republican more times than not, it kind of is a state that you expect to win as a Republican unless something goes wrong. Well, then Democrats are not going to have a path to power. Even if they flip Georgia, they'd have to win Michigan, which if you lose Pennsylvania, not really a good shot to win Michigan. You'd have to win Wisconsin, New Mexico, just everything, and then flip something, which, I don't know, maybe they would find a way to get like Arizona back, but I don't see it the way the voter registration is going. So they possibly could be screwed. They're going to have to look at a state like Kansas or something in order to get to 270 if they're not able to win Pennsylvania. So again, the map is looking better. We talk about what 2028 is going to be decided by. And honestly, I think that it's going to be really just decided by the map. Obviously, you have the economy, you have the candidate that the Democrats are going to put up. If people are better off in 2028 than they were in 2024, which there's many signs that that's the case, then J.D. Vance is going to be at an advantage. But when you look at the Democrat bench and you see the fact that Gavin Newsom might be like their strongest candidate, then as a Republican, you start to feel a lot more confident. But for those that don't exactly believe the notion that Philadelphia is going to continue to move to the right, well, the voter registration, a lot of this has been carried by Philadelphia recently, and it's showing no signs of slowing down. Republicans are going to start to take a lead. They already took the lead in North Carolina. They already had it in Arizona, and now it's zooming to the right, like hundreds of thousands of voters compared to a few years ago even. And then Nevada, it's like, kind of a seesaw right now, but the overall trend is heavily in the Republicans' favor. So whichever way you want to look at it, Republicans are at an advantage, and Democrats have a severe problem in Philadelphia because that's, where you have all the raw votes. Even if you shrink that margin over time by 100,000 voters on net, that's in the state of Pennsylvania over 1% of the vote in a very close state. You can't afford to lose it. It's going to be massive for Republicans, even if they're just able to lose it by less. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle out.